We also learned more today about the FBI's secret files on Marilyn Monroe. They reveal some of her friends were suspected communists.
When it comes to male movie sex symbols, you don't get much bigger than Rock Hudson. Back in the 50s and 60s, women across America swooned over Hudson, whose own sexuality was a closely guarded secret.
You won't believe what these stars did off camera. Hollywood is famous for its glitz, glamour, and perfect red carpet moments. But what really happens behind the scenes is far more shocking. While we see stars flashing their smiles at award shows and premieres, many of them were hiding dark secrets that could have destroyed their careers and even their lives. From wild parties and secret affairs to hidden addictions and scandalous behavior, these off-camera stories are more jaw-dropping than anything we've seen on screen. Stick around, because we're about to uncover some unbelievable truths about your favorite stars that will leave you in shock. Hollywood has always been a place of dreams, but behind the sparkling lights, things aren't always as perfect as they seem. In the following stories, we'll dive into the outrageous off-camera lives of some of the biggest stars. Let's kick things off with the shocking secrets of one of Hollywood's most notorious womanizers, Errol Flynn, Hollywood's most scandalous womanizer. Errol Flynn wasn't just a Hollywood leading man. He was a living embodiment of excess, scandal, and controversy. Known for his swashbuckling roles in films like The Adventures of Robin Hood, Flynn had an undeniable charm that made him a box office sensation. But behind the scenes, his life was a whirlwind of wild parties, heavy drinking, and a string of affairs that would have ended the careers of most actors. He embraced the Hollywood playboy lifestyle to the fullest, hosting lavish, booze-fueled gatherings at his Beverly Hills mansion, where debauchery knew no limits. Women, liquor, and reckless behavior defined his off-camera persona, making him just as infamous as he was beloved. Flynn's reputation as a notorious womanizer was more than just gossip. It led to multiple legal battles that nearly ruined him. In 1942, he was accused of statutory rape by two underage girls, sparking one of Hollywood's biggest scandals. Though he was ultimately acquitted, the trial tarnished his image, and the phrase "in like Flynn" became shorthand for his well-documented escapades. But even as controversy swirled around him, Flynn remained defiant, refusing to tone down his lifestyle. His private yacht became legendary for hosting some of the most outrageous parties in Hollywood history, with rumors of wild affairs and illicit activities that only fueled his reputation further. Marilyn Monroe, love affairs, and mysterious death. Few stars in Hollywood history have captured the public's imagination like Marilyn Monroe. She was the ultimate sex symbol, a woman whose beauty and charisma defined an era. But behind the radiant smile and breathy voice was a deeply troubled woman, struggling to navigate a world that both adored and exploited her. Monroe's personal life was filled with heartbreak, failed marriages, and whispered secrets, some of which would become the stuff of legend. Her romantic entanglements, particularly with President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert Kennedy, fueled endless speculation and conspiracy theories. These high-profile affairs weren't just gossip. They were potentially dangerous, placing Monroe at the center of political intrigue that may have cost her everything. The FBI kept extensive files on Monroe, monitoring her relationships and alleged ties to figures considered a national security risk. Her connection to the Kennedys was a ticking time bomb, and some believe it played a role in her tragic end. On August 5, 1962, Monroe was found dead in her Los Angeles home from an apparent overdose. Officially ruled as a probable suicide, her death remains one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. The circumstances surrounding it have been endlessly debated, with theories ranging from accidental overdose to something far more sinister. Some believe she knew too much about the inner workings of the government, while others argue that she was simply a casualty of Hollywood's relentless pressure. Rock Hudson, the hidden life of a Hollywood heartthrob. Rock Hudson was the very definition of Hollywood's leading man, handsome, charming, and exuding a rugged masculinity that made him a box office sensation. But the image he portrayed on screen was a carefully constructed illusion, one designed to protect him from a world that wasn't ready for the truth. In the 1950s and 60s, being a gay man in Hollywood was unthinkable, especially for someone of Hudson's stature. Studios controlled every aspect of their stars' lives, and for Hudson, that meant keeping his real self hidden. To maintain his carefully cultivated image, he was forced into fake relationships and even a sham marriage, all to prevent the public from discovering his secret. Behind the scenes, Hudson navigated a double life, engaging in same-sex relationships that were meticulously covered up by the studio system. The lengths to which Hollywood went to maintain his image were staggering, proving just how deeply rooted homophobia was in the industry. His true identity remained hidden for decades, but in 1984, everything changed. Hudson was diagnosed with AIDS at a time when the disease was heavily stigmatized and widely misunderstood. As the first major celebrity to go public with the illness, he became the face of a crisis that Hollywood had long ignored. His struggle humanized the epidemic, forcing the entertainment industry and the public to confront a reality they had long chosen to ignore. Fatty Arbuckle, a career destroyed by a scandalous party. Hollywood is no stranger to scandals, but few have been as career-shattering as the one that engulfed silent film star Fatty Arbuckle. At the height of his fame, Arbuckle was one of the most popular and highest-paid actors in Hollywood, known for his comedic genius and larger-than-life personality. But in 1921, his world came crashing down when a wild hotel party turned into one of the most notorious trials in Hollywood history. During a gathering at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco, actress Virginia Rappe fell seriously ill and later died. Arbuckle was accused of sexually assaulting her, a charge that quickly spiraled into a media frenzy. Despite a lack of concrete evidence, the public turned against Arbuckle, and the press vilified him, painting him as a monstrous villain. His trial became a spectacle, fueled by sensational headlines and public outrage. After 3 trials, he was finally acquitted, with the jury even issuing a written apology, stating that there was no proof of his guilt. But by then, the damage was done. Hollywood had blacklisted him, and his once thriving career was left in ruins. Warren Beatty, Hollywood's biggest womanizer. While Hollywood has seen its fair share of legendary ladies' men, few can compare to Warren Beatty. Known for his smoldering looks and undeniable charm, Beatty built a reputation as one of the most prolific womanizers in entertainment history. Unlike many stars who tried to keep their affairs private, Beatty's conquests were widely known, and his love life became just as famous as his films. Allegedly, he had relationships with over 12,000 women, a staggering number that fueled his legendary status. His dating history reads like a who's who of Hollywood, with rumored relationships spanning multiple generations of actresses, singers, and models. He was romantically linked to Madonna, Natalie Wood, Diane Keaton, and countless others. His reputation was so notorious that co-stars would reportedly warn new actresses on set to stay away from him. Yet, despite his womanizing ways, Beatty never let his personal life overshadow his career. He remained one of Hollywood's most successful actors and directors, starring in and producing critically acclaimed films like Bonnie and Clyde and Reds, Frank Sinatra, Mob Ties, and Secret Deals. Few stars have embodied the essence of cool quite like Frank Sinatra. With his unmistakable voice, effortless swagger, and undeniable charisma, he became one of the most iconic entertainers of all time. But behind the charm and talent, Sinatra's connections to organized crime cast a long shadow over his career. For decades, Rumors swirled about his alleged ties to the mafia, and FBI files confirmed that the government closely monitored his interactions with some of the most powerful crime figures in America. Sinatra's friendships with notorious mobsters like Sam Giancana and Lucky Luciano fueled speculation that he used his connections to secure movie roles, nightclub gigs, and record deals. Some even suggested that he served as a go-between for the mafia and influential politicians, including President John F. Kennedy. In one of the most infamous incidents, JFK abruptly canceled a planned visit to Sinatra's Palm Springs home, allegedly due to concerns about his mafia connections. The snub deeply humiliated Sinatra and severed his relationship with the president. Cary Grant, Hollywood's LSD experimenter. Cary Grant was the epitome of sophistication, a suave leading man whose charm and charisma captivated audiences for decades. But beneath his polished exterior, Grant was on a personal quest for self-discovery, one that led him to a surprising and controversial practice. Unlike many of his Hollywood peers who indulged in alcohol or other vices, Grant turned to LSD, a psychedelic drug that he believed helped him unlock deeper truths about himself. At a time when psychedelics were largely unknown to the public, Grant became one of the earliest and most vocal advocates for LSD therapy. He claimed that the drug helped him confront his troubled childhood, his failed marriages, and the emotional struggles he had long kept buried. He spoke openly about the transformative experiences he had under the influence, describing the drug as a tool for enlightenment rather than recreation. In an era when discussing such topics was taboo, his willingness to explore and embrace alternative therapies was both shocking and ahead of its time. River Phoenix, the tragic end of a rising star. Hollywood has seen its fair share of tragic young talents, but few losses hit as hard as that of River Phoenix. A gifted actor with an undeniable presence, Phoenix was poised to be one of the greatest stars of his generation. From his breakout role in Stand By Me to his critically acclaimed performances in My Own Private Idaho and Running on Empty, he was widely regarded as one of the most promising actors of his time. But behind the success, Phoenix was quietly battling demons that would ultimately lead to his heartbreaking downfall. Despite his clean-cut public image, Phoenix struggled with substance abuse, a problem that was largely ignored by Hollywood at the time. His tragic fate was sealed on October 31, 1993, when he collapsed outside the Viper Room, a nightclub partly owned by Johnny Depp. Witnesses described a horrifying scene as the young actor convulsed on the sidewalk, suffering a fatal overdose at just 23 years old. His death sent shockwaves through Hollywood, serving as a grim reminder of the industry's darker side. Orlando Brown, Disney star's downfall. Orlando Brown's rise to fame as Eddie Thomas on That's So Raven made him a beloved Disney star. His playful, quirky persona resonated with young audiences, and it seemed like he was destined for a long career in Hollywood. However, behind the scenes, Brown's life took a troubling turn. Over the years, his personal struggles became increasingly public, marked by several run-ins with the law. Arrested multiple times for charges like drug possession and domestic violence, his once promising career began to spiral. As his struggles intensified, Brown's social media rants painted a disturbing picture of his inner turmoil. Once a beloved star, he became an example of the dark side of child stardom. The pressure of growing up in the public eye, coupled with personal demons, left him in a difficult place. His public breakdown of the charming actor audiences had once adored. Bella Thorne, from Disney darling to Hollywood rebel. Bella Thorne's transition from a Disney darling to a rebellious Hollywood figure has been both dramatic and widely publicized. Once known for her role in Shake It Up, Thorne quickly became a household name. However, her image as a sweet Disney star was soon replaced with a much edgier persona. Known for her unapologetic attitude and wild social media presence, Thorne began challenging the conventions of fame. Her provocative photo leaks, revealing wardrobe malfunctions, and candid posts about partying and living life on her own terms showed a different side of the star. Rather than conforming to the squeaky clean image expected of former Disney stars, Thorne embraced a life of rebellion, flaunting her defiance in the face of public scrutiny. This shift in her image sparked both controversy and admiration, with some applauding her for breaking free from the mold, while others criticized her for being too reckless. Marlon Brando, Secret Affairs with Men and Women. Marlon Brando's legacy as one of Hollywood's greatest actors is beyond dispute, but his off-camera life was equally as complex and unconventional. Known for his iconic roles in The Godfather and A Streetcar Named Desire, Brando was celebrated for his unparalleled talent and ability to transform into his characters. However, his personal life, particularly his sexual relationships, was far more fluid than the public realized. Brando was rumored to have had relationships with both men and women, with his openness about his sexuality considered shocking for an era when such matters were largely kept hidden. His affairs with figures like actor James Dean and comedian Richard Pryor have been the subject of much speculation and intrigue, adding layers to his already enigmatic personality. In addition to his romantic relationships, Brando's reputation for erratic behavior and clashes with directors only added to his mystique. Jamie Lynn Spears, the teen pregnancy that shocked Hollywood. When Jamie Lynn Spears, younger sister of Britney Spears, rose to fame with her role in Zoey 101, she was seen as a wholesome, all-American teen idol. However, her squeaky clean image was shattered when, at just 16 years old, she announced she was pregnant. The news rocked Hollywood, as it came at a time when teen pregnancy was still a significant cultural taboo. The public was quick to criticize her for what they saw as a betrayal of her innocent, girl-next-door image. Many saw her as a cautionary tale of child stardom gone wrong, while others sympathized with the young star's difficult situation. Jamie Lynn was forced to step away from acting, leaving Zoey 101 unfinished, and her career suffered as a result. The pressure and judgment she faced from the media and the public were overwhelming, forcing her into a long period of silence. Jennette McCurdy, Hollywood's dark side. Exposed, Jennette McCurdy's time in Hollywood was marred by exploitation and manipulation, something she bravely exposed in her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died. Best known for her role in iCarly, McCurdy's early career was shaped by the pressures of working as a child star. Behind the scenes, however, McCurdy was struggling with issues of control, body image, and an unhealthy relationship with her mother, who pushed her into acting and often demanded more from her than any child should bear. In her book, McCurdy sheds light on the toxic culture of child stardom, revealing the emotional and psychological toll it took on her. She speaks about how she was pressured to remain silent about her discomfort, the unhealthy expectations placed on her appearance, and the manipulation she faced at the hands of those in power. Her candidness has brought attention to the darker side of the industry, especially the pressures young actors face in an environment that often prioritizes money and image over well-being. The price of fame. Hollywood, often seen as a land of opportunity and glamour, hides a darker reality behind its bright lights. Many stars have paid a high price for their fame, with scandals, personal struggles, and public scrutiny threatening their careers and lives. From secret affairs to shocking arrests, the stories of these stars reveal a side of Hollywood that is rarely seen by the public. What is clear, however, is that fame does not come without its costs. The pressure to maintain a perfect image, the exploitation of young stars, and the constant media attention all contribute to the mental and emotional toll that many actors face. While the public adores and idolizes these figures, behind the scenes, they often endure battles that are not visible to their fans. The tales of these stars, some tragic, others cautionary, remind us that fame is not always as glamorous as it seems. For many, the true cost of being in the spotlight is far greater than anyone could imagine.